and welcome to the Holy Shoot Wrestling Podcast, a podcast that's all about the world of professional wrestling. I am your host, B-Rod, Brod, whatever you want to call me, and joining me today is Big Bang Mike. Hello.
Good morning.
Good
Hello.
morning. Yeah, I think it's the first time we've recorded in the morning.
It's a different experience.
Yeah, me and Jason last year, we planned to do a pod out when we were out in New York for last year's WrestleMania. Remember when that had a crowd? And we were so tired, and I feel the exact same way, even though we were all self-isolating. So, apart from that, anything you would like to discuss first before we get the pod rolling properly? That's a great way to segue into the general segment.
It is, as the audience can tell, we've planned this greatly. No, I think if we just work our way through it and then give, overall feedback, all I can say is going into it, I expected very little and felt they were doing it for the sake of doing it and that they shouldn't be. I think that they should have postponed, but that was my thoughts going in. Whether that's my thoughts coming out, you'll find out at the end.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a good point you raised. Like coming in myself, I didn't have any expectations, to be honest. They were pretty low. I sympathise with the fact that they didn't postpone. The reason why is we don't know when COVID-19 and this crisis will end. There's rumor that they're going to cancel Money in the Bank next month. After that, who knows?
Yeah.
But before you know it, it's probably SummerSlam before there's any sense of normality resuming.
I get that, and I know it's so unpredictable what's happening, but what they're missing is that for 30, 40 years that there's been this argument that the wrestlers should get an extended amount of time off, and Vince has always fought against that it has to go on all year, and now they've actually got the chance, unfortunate as it is, to stop everything, rest them, get them fully fit. Again, I'm glad, I know why they did it. It's for the feel-good moment, but I don't know if they needed to do WrestleMania last night. I think they could have done something anyway and had WrestleMania later. But again, that was me coming into it.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think with the restrictions in Florida right now, I think we'll be lucky to see anything else in terms of the world of wrestling after a Monday Night Raw, at least from WWE's side. So I think this might actually be the last of it for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, shall we get on to the first match of
Yes.
the record-breaking WrestleMania of zero fans? Drew Gulak versus Cesaro kicked off on the kickoff show. Any thoughts about this match?
That's a kind of match that on paper looks like they could steal the show on the pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
Both have, the ability to put on a fantastic match. I think they've got good chemistry. They work well. They're similar size. They can do some strength moves, but they can also do great mat work. I think, I expected them to put on, the best match that hasn't had an audience so far. And I think they were on their way to doing that until the end.
Yeah, very weird finish. The aeroplane spin, and then Cesaro gets a cover on
Yeah.
Drew.
I mean, the aeroplane spin was great. I really liked it. I like the fact they let go of him and,
Yeah.
hands on the hips. It was a really good middle match move that I would have remembered. But for it then to be the finish, I think that kind of halts Drew's momentum a bit.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think this was it was a match for the sake of a match. I feel really annoyed in the fact that this is a 1 hour long pre-show where 55 minutes of it was Pete Rosenberg and Corey Graves, and 5 minutes of it was a match. I'm exaggerating slightly on the times, but it was very limited match. I give this like 2 stars just because of the guys in the ring. They should have been allowed to steal the show right from the very off and just set a positive mood.
Yeah, like you say, there's no time restriction at all. That didn't need all of that stuff in the first time. Give them 15 to 20 minutes and let them put on something that makes us think off the bat, wow, this might actually be a good night. But after the pre-show match, it was kind of going with what I expected, that it wasn't going to be a good show.
Yeah. So, speaking of things that lasted 15 minutes, the introductions. Oh wow. Who the hell, like, what was that intro video?
I
I
think
mean, it would have been great for WrestleMania in a stadium, uh, but bloody hell, what was that awfulness?
I think it's a mixture of people going stir crazy because they're in isolation and taking it out with their computers. Um, I didn't find it that bad. I found it that they're trying different things while they've got the chance. I think they know that they're not going to get massively criticized no matter what they do. So let's mix it up a bit and let's have some fun.
Yeah, I get that. It's just I don't think it was any good. I thought it was cheesy and appalling. Oh, right before this, Stephanie McMahon did a 1 minute introduction for this year's WrestleMania,
Yeah,
explaining the circumstances, still refusing to use the word coronavirus or COVID-19.
is that one of those banned words that Vince has?
I think it might at this point. It's just tell the fans, just like
Yeah,
we know it's bad. Like Cody did an excellent speech on AEW, and this is not to trigger like WWE fans or say AEW is better than WWE, but that is one thing that they definitely did right was address it properly. And
yeah.
Stephanie's spiel at the very beginning, there might be some substance to it, but it just felt very disingenuous and very corporate. Um,
It did, and I think that there should be a speech that I would have liked to see Vince do it. Um,
yeah.
and I'd like to know the reason they're not mentioning it. I mean, it's not like I understand sometimes they don't mention things because they don't want people to know and they want to stick to kayfabe, but this is a little bit more than that. There's no one on the planet who doesn't know why there's no fans.
Um, well, Trump might, but anyway, that's a terrible joke. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I kind of get why they don't want to mention it every 5 minutes in WWE programming. I get it. Like they're trying to view themselves as some form of escape, and I appreciate that. It's just it's WWE playing down, dumbing down for the audience. That's what it is, and it's just insulting. I just wish they addressed it.
Yeah, just this once. They don't have to mention it throughout the show, but just this one time where it's obviously a different part of the show.
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
I think wrong person and wrong words.
Yeah, I mean, I th- I think Stephanie's a good spokesperson for the company, so I'll kind of let that slide. But yeah, it's just say the words. We're not going to be like, oh my god, she used the c word. Anyway, speaking on things that lasted 15 minutes as well, first match of the night, the Women's Tag Team Championships, they opened the show. I don't think it should have opened, but I'll get into that a little bit later. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross successfully defeated Asuka and Kairi Sane after Alexa Bliss hit the Twisted Bliss on Kairi Sane to win the tag team belts. What were your thoughts, Mike?
Okay, so this is the first time that the women have opened WrestleMania, coming a year after the first time the women main evented WrestleMania. So it's good to see, and the opening match at WrestleMania is a big spot to have. Um, Normally, it's there for a very different reason, to get the fans into it and get them excited. Here, it's to set the tone of the event and to give us a real first match that means something. And they definitely did that. I like the fact that there's a title change straight off, so we're seeing that is possible on this. What could be classed as like another Saudi type show where nothing real will happen.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's right that they did the change. I think Oscar should definitely be in the singles matches, not tag team. And her performance in this match showed how I think she's so much better a performer than the other three. I think the other three are great characters and that they are good, but I think Oscar's a the next level up. Also interesting, if things go as I think they will tonight, we're going to have two Scottish champions. So go Scotland.
Yeah, I know. So what a great day to be Scottish.
Definitely.
It's such a Scottish way of winning. Ah, we won the WWE and the the women's tag team championships. Oh, great! It's like, yeah, it's great with zero fans.
Yeah, but
It's the most Scottish way of winning. Uh, it's just like with thunderous lack of applause.
definitely.
Uh, yeah. No, I actually really enjoyed this match. I enjoyed this match more than I thought. I would. And I agree with your sentiments. Asuka is a step above, and I think this is the right decision in terms of booking. Not just because Nikki Cross wished me happy birthday last year at Mania Access, so definitely not biased. Uh, but joking aside, I think that was the right booking. I think it's clear that they need to make Asuka a single star again. She's definitely been the best thing about WWE under lockdown. I think she's been the most entertaining. I think WWE, to their credit, recognize that. I mean, Vince has just put her on Raw and SmackDown
Yeah,
every single opportunity because
I
she's
get the
taken.
sense she's told to just go out and say something. They
Yeah,
probably don't even know what she's saying.
yeah. I don't. I think Vince probably just finds it hilarious. But you know
Yeah,
what? Like, just fucking run with it. Like if Vince finds you hilarious, so be it. You know, you're getting a higher spot. If you're getting a higher spot on the card, I mean, take advantage of that. And I think she will. I think
definitely.
Kyrie possibly going back to Japan. That's been a rumor going around since the beginning of the year. I think it would be wise to um, shift the
If
tag belts
if
onto.
that's true, I hope they do a split and get some Oscar Kyrie Sane matches out of it because I think they could be great.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, the only thing I will say is, where does that leave the women's tag division? If they split up the Kabuki Warriors, if they've split up Fire and Desire, or well, we don't know how the storyline will play out tonight, but
I think it's time that the women's tags went on to NXT and even NXT UK quite a bit and did what they initially said they were going to do.
yeah, but they split up. They split up the one good tag team that they had in NXT, which was Dakota Kai and Tegan Knox. It's just very frustrating to see.
Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't one for the women's tag team titles to come onto the scene just for this reason alone. It's not because the women don't deserve more championships in WWE. I think they do. I think there is a need for it, because you can't have 10, 12 women on each roster
yeah.
or more fighting for just one championship.
I think one's got to come before the other, so you can't have loads of female tag teams and then introduce the belts. You need to have a reason for them to form tag teams in the first place. Otherwise, why would they bother? But
Yeah.
I think the women's division in every promotion is in need of a secondary title, like the Intercontinental.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. Well, maybe not so much NXT UK, but uh,
Maybe NXT, combined
yeah,
NXT UK.
yeah, I think NXT could definitely, like,
Yeah.
it's got the most awesome women's division in the world right now. Um, the most awesome. Oh, what a weird phrase. I've just finished a cup of coffee or cooking towards the end of the review.
It will.
Anyway,
Drone podcasts are the best.
but I'm not drunk. I'm just very tired. Uh, I wish I was. It would make this more entertaining. Anyway, shall we move on to Elias versus King Corbin?
Yeah, but before you do, you little skipped Rob Gronkowski's, as the host of WrestleMania. What did you think of that?
It happened. I
Yeah,
wasn't. I wasn't offended by it.
yeah, but what was the point? I mean,
I think that.
you're a big NFL fan. I mean, I'm not. The only reason I know of him is from the Andre the Giant Battle Royal appearance. So, how big a name is he?
He graced a cover of Madden a few years ago, so that gives you an indication. He's very well known in North America.
Right.
He's a three-time Super Bowl winner. He's very instrumental to all three Super Bowl wins. He was Tom Brady's like biggest target in the New England Patriots, who are a
So,
sports dynasty.
so him hosting is quite a big deal.
I would say so, but
Okay.
I'm not sure how much of a big crossover between NFL fans and wrestling fans there are these
Yeah.
days. I
I was
think
thinking
there was.
to have a guest host who's apparently such a big deal, to have it at this event. There's no fans and anything. Did you need a host? Could you not have saved
I
him for when
think
there
it
could be
doesn't.
fans?
Yeah, I think it also doesn't help that Gronkowski's retired. So
Right.
he retired last season,
Yeah.
um, and I think that's enough for people to forget about you at times. If it was Tom Brady, then it would be big. It would be a huge deal, or a starting quarterback. But
Yeah.
this guy's no longer playing in the NFL. Um, I don't know. Like, I think there's a difference between American audiences and international audiences, and this is very much something for American audiences.
Okay. So yeah, it happened, but it didn't achieve anything and didn't make anything awful.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of celebrity appearances, it's not Kim Kardashian, so I'll
I
take
see.
that as a win. Um, that actually happened. I can't
It
believe
did.
that. 24. Great WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah. Oh, also star rating for the Alexa Bliss Nikki Cross Kabuki Warriors match. I give that 2.5 stars. I thought it was really solid.
Yeah, I think they do 3/4 stars. So 2 3/4 stars. I liked it, and I think it gets the extra quarter for me because they do a title change in the first match. I just like that. I think that's
Yeah.
a good show-setting match.
Yeah, I think it was a solid, very solid match. Can't really complain. Speaking of 2-star matches, Elias versus King Corbin. um, I did joke. Me and Mike, we were on a Discord chat last night during Mania, and I think I said this will be the most 2-star match you'll ever see.
Yep.
Um, would you agree after watching that match, Mike?
I don't think a match has ever benefited so much from not having a crowd. It was what can I say? It wasn't bad. It was
Mm.
just blah. It happened and it finished with a roll up. A roll up at WrestleMania just should not happen. And as soon as that did happen, it makes me think that I was right, that this isn't going to be a real show. Suddenly, the good that the first match did is erased because it's obviously a feud continuing match instead of a feud ending match.
So first and foremost, one of the greatest Mania matches of all time, and you're a smarter wrestling man than I am, Mike. You
Are
know,
you going to say WrestleMania 10 was a roll up?
Steamboat Savage roll up. I mean, I'm just saying. Um, Bret
Yeah.
Hart, British Bulldog, a WrestleMania match in all but name, roll up. Some of the greatest matches of all time have ended in roll up, but this was not one of them.
No.
No. I think it started off well. Like Elias taking no shit, gets the, just gets the guitar and whacks Corbin with it. The match itself, in all honesty, you were right. It wasn't bad. It was just there. Um, there's nothing wrong with it per se. It was just safe. It was a very mid card Friday night SmackDown match that you couldn't go wrong with.
Yeah.
But WrestleMania, no, this is just filler.
No. If that
Uh,
match had happened at the originally planned WrestleMania with 80,000, I think that could have been dud.
I think
I
it would
think,
have been the toilet break match.
yeah. So I think not having fans will actually increase it from dud 0 stars up to the 1.5, 2 star range. Just because of the beginning, I do like that. Elias looked a bit more intense, and
Yeah, I think it would have helped if they maintained that same level of intensity. Like Elias, you nearly got killed. Be
yeah,
violent. I think
yeah.
that was lacking.
I mean,
For me, it was 2 stars. Just because it was solid, but nothing more.
yeah. I mean, remember the storyline. Elias almost gets killed by Corbin. You think he would want to hurt him and punish him, not sneak a win with a roll up and then leg it out the ring. It was the wrong way round. I could imagine if Corbin had won with the roll up like that, it would
Mm,
make more sense. But
yeah,
Elias should want to hurt him. He should want the match to continue and keep going.
Yeah, I also think Corbin should have went over.
I
I
think
think
so too.
yeah, like he's whether you like it or not, close to main event heel as you're getting these days outside of the Fiend on SmackDown. Um, he needs a win, and I think he needed a win clean as well.
Yeah.
I think this is just this doesn't work for either man. So let's move on to Becky Lynch beating Shayna Baszler by roll up for the Raw Women's Championship.
Hmm.
I'll let you go first, Mike, because I reckon you'll have a more interesting opinion than I will.
um, I think that this match had a good story going in, biting the neck aside, which was a bit much. I think
Mm,
it felt, you know, as close to real as I can get with them. Becky, especially, really wanting revenge and wanting to prove herself against this top cage fighter. Um, the match was good. They worked well together. It had the right level of brutality, and then it's as if they went to the finish 5-10 minutes early. I mean, the match went 8.5 minutes. It's 8.5 minutes of a good match, but the fact that it's so short and ended when it did, again, just drops the star rating down. Drops your. I mean, this is 2 roll-ups in a row,
yeah.
and this is an event that I'm thinking will just be a do it for the sake of it, and now they seem to be doing it for the sake of it. I would love to know what the original plan was. If was that always the plan to give them 8.5 minutes and Lynch to win with that move or that roll up?
I don't know. I mean, speaking of timings, Elias versus King Corbin got more time, and Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan got more time.
Yeah, and this
The
was one
ladder
of the
match
heavily
got
built
more time.
matches.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I completely agree. It just felt like it just cut straight to the end. This match needed 5 more minutes at least because it was starting to build up well. the The match itself very hard hitting, lots of good counters. It's a typical Shayna Baszler match. It's not like the most entertaining match you'll see on a card, but it serves its purpose very well in terms of just looking brutal. And then the roll up happens.
Yeah,
Now, I was thinking about this match probably the most outside of the Boneyard match this morning when I was just making some mental notes. And I could see this feud continuing. I think it will continue. I think that's the reason why Becky won. I think I kind of view it in the same way that it was like Finn Balor, Samoa Joe back in NXT, and I think they could be going down that route where Finn Balor would always find like a way to outsmart the bigger opponent, and Baszler's more experienced, more violent, and one of those finishes was exactly the same as what you saw last night.
yeah,
And then eventually Baszler gets the dominant victory, and that's that. And I think that would be a good way to put Baszler over, extending the feud and whatnot.
yeah. But again, that dominant victory should normally come at WrestleMania. WrestleMania isn't normally used to be the opening match.
I think that's changed quite a bit in recent years. Like
Yeah, I
Rollins,
mean, they went through a
Rollins
period where
Lesnar.
like Backlash was the tidy up from WrestleMania event, and
Yeah, yeah.
but
Remember when they repeated the WrestleMania 20 main event
yeah,
before?
yeah, they have done
Uh,
that a couple of times.
yeah, Uh, yeah. I think we would all feel better about this match if it's given more time because it
Yes,
was good up until that very
yeah.
end point,
For
and it's like
Corbin and Elias to get more time than Lynch Baszler is,
crime.
and again, they put so much planning into this, so there must have been a reason that to go 8.5 minutes. I mean, we don't know everything that's happening. You could have had one of them could have been injured, or they may not have wanted to go that, but it's it just took away from the overall enjoyment.
Yeah. The other thing is that's been doing the rounds is Baszler not being very popular with Vince because the lack of reaction at Elimination Chamber, not getting good crowd reactions on Raw. Do you think that could have been a factor in the decision to keep the belt on Becky Lynch, even though she's starting to sour with some fans?
I think to say that Baszler isn't popular because of the crowd reaction. The crowd reaction will be on what the layout of the match and what the booking is. I think the booking of Elimination Chamber didn't help her too much. I mean, we all knew she was winning, so what she then went on and did wasn't as spectacular as it would have been if we hadn't known. I felt like they did it the wrong way around. They kind of built up to Lynch versus Baszler and then made Baszler the number one contender.
Yep.
I would have
It was
liked
so
the other
dumb.
way. Yeah, the other way around would have made more sense. And I think what's forgotten these days is Baszler's a heel. She's not meant to be liked. And she actually plays the heel well. She doesn't try and be the cool, get the cheers from the crowd type heel like some of them do. She doesn't cheat too much either. She's a heel because she's nasty and vicious and violent,
Yeah,
which
I
makes her a
think
face in some people's eyes.
I think she does cheat a tiny bit. Like just thinking from previous takeovers, like she's had quite a bit of interference in the past from Shafir and Duke. Uh, Obviously they're not there. Yeah, I mean I completely agree with you in terms of the Elimination Chamber booking. I don't think the booking of the chamber itself was that bad. There's other reasons why it's bad, but the Baszler beating everyone wasn't that bad. But yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
oh, Baszler's just come out of nowhere after take over Portland, and yeah, decided to eat Becky, and she's number one contender before that match even happened.
yeah,
It's just like,
it was definitely
mm,
a black match because I actually, taking all things aside, I enjoyed that Elimination Chamber and I enjoyed what she did. I thought it was different. I like it when they do something that hasn't been done before. But we
mm,
we knew she was going to win.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I've said on these pods before, the worst thing for me is when I know something is going to happen and then it happens, and the best thing is when I know something is going to happen and it doesn't happen.
yeah. Well, I didn't expect Becky Lynch to win the match, so maybe it's the best thing. But
Yeah,
no, I'm joking. So what's your star in for this match?
I will go again 2 3/4.
Yeah, I think I'm a Becky fan, but yeah, I have to agree with your rating there, 2 and 3. So they needed more time. It's the second year in a row Lynch wins by roll up. I mean, come on, that's your face of the company. If you're gonna have
Yeah,
a win, have a win the right way. Anyway, let's move on to this match, which some people enjoyed, some people didn't. It's Sami Zayn successfully retaining the Intercontinental Championship against Daniel Bryan with what Michael Cole called a haluva kick, even though it was just basically a big boot. Your thoughts?
5 years ago, this would be the match that everyone would think would steal the show.
Mm.
Sami Zayn has kind of moved into a manager role. He very rarely competes, so I was interested to see what they would do. They did better than I thought they would. I thought there would be some sort of. To be honest, I didn't think Zayn was going to have the match. I thought he was going to substitute Nakamura in or something. So I'm glad he did. It was nice to see him. He did what I think was kind of a throwback to when he used to face Kevin Owens, and the roles were reversed. That Kevin Owens would keep leaving the ring early on and try and frustrate him and stay away. So it was nice to see Zayn doing
Yeah.
that. The match itself, it was relatively good, but it wasn't what these two are capable of. And I think there is an element to the storyline where Gulak's been helping Daniel Bryan, not helping, but like trying to coach him and point out his flaws. I think Daniel Bryan lost this because of his own actions. I think that'll be played on in the future.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic going forward. I am enjoying the Gulak Bryan like coaching dynamic a lot,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, Sami Zayn is just kind of like, what the hell happened over the course of these years? I mean, I'm glad he's champion, but
yeah. It's one of those things where you've got this amazing performer who can put on 5-star matches, and you don't do anything with him. And as soon as he's never wrestling and in a manager's role. Let's give him the Intercontinental Championship. It's
Yeah,
3-4 years too late.
yeah, I think I fully agree with that statement. I also think there is a part where maybe Sammy can't go as much these days, and hence he's in that managerial role, which then begs the question: why is he
Why?
champion?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'd much rather see Cesaro as Intercontinental Champion, if I'm honest. Out of the three, Nakamura's never really entertained me, if I'm honest, in WWE. Um, so yeah, I was expecting something of a match. I really did not like this match at all. I get that Sami Zayn's a coward. I get that this was sports entertaining, but these are on paper two of your best wrestlers in the ring. And while Sammy might not be able to take as many bumps, he's definitely capable of doing something beyond that. Which no, I hated this match. If I'm honest,
Yeah. I
hated
mean,
it, hated
Daniel
it,
Bryan's one
hated
of
it.
those who can drag a good match out of anyone, and then you put Sami Zayn, who can't go as much in there, but is still Sami Zayn.
Mhm.
You should be looking upwards of 3 stars instead of the 2.5 that I would give it.
I give it 1. I just thought this is a wrong match at the wrong time.
1 star.
Yeah, no, I hated it. Like I thought it was just pointless. Like this is Sami Zayn, this is El Generico, this is Daniel Bryan, this is Bryan Danielson, two of the guys that set the trend of wrestling that you get today in Ring of Honor. They deserve this mid-card title match. Don't get me wrong, but not the actual booking. I get it in terms of storyline and in terms of sports entertainment and the angle that they're going for, but I just did not want to see this match. It's personal bias. Don't care. 1 star. I dislike this a lot. Um, yeah, I was looking forward to this in the hope that they would actually have a match, but no, no, I don't think we'll ever see the old Sami Zayn again. So
No, unfortunately.
yeah,
I mean,
there's
I think 1 star is harsh. I get that you hate it because I feel like you're giving it 1 star because of who they are and what they could have achieved. But if you switch them out for 2 random wrestlers, would you still be giving it 1 star if they did exactly the same?
for a WrestleMania match. Yeah,
Mm.
if it was Nakamura, yeah. If it was Cesaro,
I mean,
definitely
I think the
yes.
actual wrestling, I think the finish was a lot better than Corbin versus Elias,
I think Corbin versus Elias was a better match. At
and
least
the
it was a
internet just
match. I,
exploded.
I, I mean, at least it was a match. Like this was an angle. This was just a beatdown angle with a, a roll up finish that wasn't even a roll up finish. You know, it's just like, oh, one big boot and that was it.
It was a haluva kick.
It wasn't a haluva kick. A haluva kick is when he's at the when the opponent's at the turnbuckle and there's like some momentum behind that kick. Uh, yeah, this is pants. I don't care what anybody says. Um,
Okay.
yeah, this is a
Move.
Daniel Bryan match. I'm giving 1 star. I can't believe I'm saying that, but there you go. Let's move on to something that's a bit better then.
Yes.
The SmackDown Tag Team Championship was defended in a triple threat ladder match, not a triple threat tag team ladder match. But Miz was ill heading into this match apparently, so that's why they made the move. They couldn't find a replacement partner for John Morrison. Don't know why. So John Morrison successfully retained the title against Jimmy Uso and Kofi Kingston, poor Jey Uso and Big E, by basically falling off with the title belts because the other two were wrestling over the thing that was holding the belts. I thought it was an interesting finish to what was a really fun match.
I agree. I think it was fun. I think it was a very good ladder match.
Mm.
Um, we're at the stage now where we've seen so many ladder matches that it's kind of hard to do anything different and hard to top things before. But I think if there had been a crowd, the crowd would have loved this. There would have been a couple of holy shit chants. I really enjoyed it. Definitely, in terms of star rating, it'll probably be match of the night for me. Um, Taking them individually, I think Jimmy Uso I mean, out of the three, he's the one who's never really had a singles run and big singles matches. But I think he easily held his own here. I like the dynamic with him and Kofi. You know, the respect slash really wanting to get the win. I think he took a really big bump that was, you know, quite hard hitting when he comes off the ladder over the ropes and straight into the floor. No protection, no table or anything there. They often
Mm.
use a table in that spot to make it look visually more impressive, but actually, hurts less. He took that really well. Kingston's just Kofi Kingston, who the things he can do, climbing up the inside of ladders and diving through them and stuff, is unique. And John Morrison here showed what he can do. Walking the top rope and doing that Spanish fly is it's a WrestleMania moment. They were trying to do the best match that they could, which I think some of the other matches definitely didn't have. They were kind of just plodding along doing what they had to. These guys tried to entertain the fans, even though the fans weren't there.
Yeah, I think all three men did a terrific job. Just a little note on the Jimmy Uso bump when he's pushed off the ladder by Kofi. I noticed how he didn't see the landing.
Don't
Uh,
spoil it for me.
yeah, I know, but uh, I think that was one of the very few times that I noticed that, oh yeah, this is edited throughout the
Well,
course of the
I
show.
thought we'd see more of that. I thought they would actually take advantage that there was no crowd there and have things that they couldn't normally do. I mean, they actually did when I think Jimmy Uso was walking the barrier and they
Yeah,
throw the ladder full speed at him. That's something they couldn't have done if they'd have fans. So
yeah,
when they did that, I
yeah.
thought, wow, this could happen quite a bit. There was a moment in an old ECW show very early on, I think Barely Legal, where the ladder goes flying out of the ring and into the crowd, and they could kind of get away with that because it was ECW, but they could never get away with that these days in WWE. So things like that, I thought there'd be a lot more of that through the whole show.
Yeah, I think it would have benefited from taking advantage of the empty arena setting a bit more. I think
Yeah,
the only other thing that irked me about this match, and this is just another slight negative, is they have a ladder bridge and they do nothing with the ladder bridge. I think that was weird. Um,
I totally disagree. I think we've got so conditioned to, oh, they've made a ladder bridge, there's going to be a spot, and this is going back to what I like when I know they do something that makes me know what's going to happen, and then they don't. I'm fine with them doing that. Why do they have to stick to the formula?
true, true, but I want to see someone go through a ladder. So
Yeah.
fuck your smart opinion, Mike.
And that's the other problem with ladder matches. As soon as someone goes, it kind of takes away from how tough these ladders are. Still, little things like
Mm.
that. I'm glad they didn't do that. But I
No,
thought this was up there
that's
in
a
ladder
valid point.
matches. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
and you know, in terms of little things that do annoy me, though,
Yep.
I'd like to know from the start: are they trying to get both belts off, or are they trying to get that coat hanger type thing off? Like exact when they all three had it, I thought that was the end of the match.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they're introducing the six-man tag belt.
Yeah,
Brilliant. Um, yeah, no, I get your point. I think that could have done with some clarification because there has been times in the past um, where they've used that weird hanger thing
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
been
Hang off it.
retrieved, and that was sufficient instead of just pulling down each individual belt.
Yeah,
Um, I think the TLC match at last year's TLC pay-per-view is a good example when Oscar retained the titles.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so that was weird, and I think I liked the finish, but I would get why people wouldn't like the finish. I think Morrison and Miz have to look cocky and cowardly almost, and I think that's a perfect finish for them. I think it would have been better if Miz was in that position to get like a cowardly retrieval over Morrison because Morrison's clearly, at least in the ring, more talented of the two.
yeah,
But
yeah. I
on
mean,
the
I've
whole,
I've got no real problem with the finish, but I think it could have been the same thing but better in that you could have had Kofi and Uso fighting over them at the top of the ladder, and suddenly Morrison runs up the ladder, steals the two belts, and dives off.
oh, that
You
would be
know,
so cool.
it would. I
Th-
would like to
th-
see that, but
That would be
instead,
like. That would be like heist of the century, but
It
not
would.
not as
I would have
important.
really liked to see that. I like it where they actually take a bump in order to get the belts.
Oh, to be fair, Morrison did take a bump
It did take a bump, but
onto
it
the
wasn't
ladder bridge.
deliberate. Like a table where they literally, I think the very first tag team ladder match where Jeff Hardy literally has to take one big massive bump to grab them off the ladder. He can't stay on the ladder and grab them at the same time. It's just that way of
Yeah,
finishing.
yeah.
But on the whole, in terms of wrestling match in the ring, match of the night for me,
Mm.
I'd go 4 stars.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I enjoyed this match a lot as well. I'd probably give it 3.5. Um, I I don't. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh. I don't know. But I enjoyed this match a lot, so can't really complain.
yeah, definitely one I will watch again.
Yeah, I think I would watch this match again quite happily in a Mania rematch. Moving on, Kevin Owens beat Seth Rollins not once but twice. First of all, he beat him by disqualification after Seth Rollins clocked him with the ring bell. This prompted Kevin Owens to call Seth Rollins, "You're not a messiah. You're just a very naughty bitch." Uh, a lot of bitch. A lot of the word
They like that word these
bitch.
days.
Yeah, bitch
Not allowed to say
mania. This
Corona
is.
anymore, but
Yeah, it's just like, oh goddamn, can't say coronavirus.
yeah.
Gotta say bitch. That'll get the fans going. I my
Is
Vince
that you
McMahon.
doing Vince McMahon
Yeah, it's
or
Kevin
Liam
Nash.
Neeson? I'm a bit confused.
Uh, Vince, but it's pretty bad. Uh, one coffee, one coffee. Um, and then Kevin Owens managed to get Seth Rollins to agree to a no disqualification match. Kevin Owens then climbs the big fat WrestleMania sign, does a diving elbow through the announce table to Rollins, rolls him by the ring, stunner, 1, 2, 3. Kevin Owens picks up 2 victories over the Monday Night Messiah. Again, Mike, let's kick off with your thoughts.
So yeah, pretty much 2 different sections here. The first was plodding along, typical for the night, really. DQ finish. Had it ended there, would have solidified my thoughts that this is not a real show in their eyes, and it's just like a glorified house show. If it had ended there, it would have been probably 1 3/4 stars to me.
Mm,
Um, as soon as it restarts, it's like a different match. Like now they really get going. There's a different intensity to it. Um, it was a bit back and forth. At one point, I really thought Seth was going to win. And then we do the bump, and it's a spectacular dive. It's very high. It's what Kevin Owens does best. Big moments like that. It did make me think. I wonder how much the show was actually edited, because I didn't see pretty much any botches on the entire show. Nothing seemed too out of place, except this one move. Probably the one move they couldn't redo. I mean, he smashes through that table, but does he make any connection with Seth at all?
I don't remember.
I think
So
maybe a fingernail grazed his ear, but
yeah, I mean that's like half of those spots. So sometimes they just don't connect. Uh, any Shane McMahon diving elbow you've ever seen
oh
doesn't
yeah,
connect. And not the deliberate ones either. Um, yeah, I think aside from that, I think this was. I agree with you. It had 2 different intensities. I believe this match should have opened WrestleMania. I think this was kind of a hot feud going into the pay per view. This has been building up for a long time. This match, I think it should have been a no disqualification match right from the off, and then you would have had a different level of intensity. I feel because the second half, this is really one match, but the second half, the no disqualification half of this match, um, was really entertaining, and it's what it should have been right from the very off.
yeah,
Um, One thing I did love about this match, though, was the absolute trash talk between these two. I think both guys had really great trash talk. Seth Rollins is a fantastic heel. Um, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this match for what it's worth.
yeah. There's good parts to it. In terms of the match ending by DQ, it's obviously a deliberate DQ, and he's laughing and happy about it. And for his character to then accept to restart the match as a no DQ didn't really fit what they've been playing, I think that would have been the chance to actually make the host have actual point to being there, because he was up on the stand the whole night. If he'd got a mic and said, no, 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 we ain't having this at WrestleMania, it's restarting with no DQ, that would at least given him a point to be there, other than just, we've got Rob Gronkowski.
I don't know.
Like, why would you get deliberately disqualified and then agree to restart the match under no DQ
I
rules?
I think it's so the Seth Rollins character clearly has a massive ego. Like, he is a Monday Night Messiah. He's God at WrestleMania, and I think when Kevin Owens calls him out saying, "You're not the Messiah. You're a very naughty bitch." Second time I've used that. Great success.
I'd love them to do some sort of parody on that.
I'm
They got
surprised.
Hollywood next year. Please keep this character to Hollywood and do a parody of that.
Oh my god! Just all the trailers again. That would be
Yep,
amazing.
I did enjoy them.
That was the best part of WrestleMania 21.
Yeah.
Trailers. A great build to that pay per view.
Yep.
But anyway, enough about WrestleMania 21. But I think it's the fact that he's calling out that Rollins is not a messiah. He's not being a god at this point, and it's just, I think it's supposed to trigger Rollins' ego.
Yeah.
I would be the first to admit that I see your point of view a bit more. I think you actually make more sense than what I just said. But I think that's probably what WWE were thinking, and I don't think that comes across well enough to get, the no disqualification match going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, by the way, Seth Rollins looking like Jesus. That's amazing.
I like it when he wears white. I think
Yeah,
that's
Monday Night
a good
Messiah
colour for him.
Monday Night Messiah on the
Yeah.
tights. Godly. It's just, yeah, I love the fact he's rolled with. Like, he's one of the best things about Raw right now. I'm glad that he's had a successful heel turn.
Yes.
And,
So much better as a heel.
yeah. You see, I think he actually makes a great Intercontinental Champion. I think he's a great mid card face, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you
No.
need great mid card faces. But as a heel, he's a main eventer, and it'll be interesting to see if he becomes Drew McIntyre's first challenger. If Drew McIntyre wins tonight.
That could be very good.
Yeah, I think that would be a very interesting feud.
But yeah, for this match, it comes in at 2 3/4 for me. But I think it could have been higher if they'd started the match with no DQ. I think it should have been no DQ from the start, and they could have then gone higher. I think the way that they split it, a little bit illogical, so it doesn't quite reach the 3 stars for me.
I'm giving it 3 stars just because I think it had the time. But it barely scrapes 3 stars. I think the violence at the end really makes up for the fact that there was that DQ finish. I think there was great character work throughout. I think it could have been a bit more intense, and that's what would have elevated it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, up next, Mojo Rawley becomes a new 24/7 champion. That happened. Let's move on. And did you actually want to talk about that?
No.
All right, cool, sweet. And then after that, Braun Strowman defeats Goldberg in 2 minutes and 44 seconds to become the new Universal Champion. Of course, Braun Strowman replaced Roman Reigns heading to this match because of a thing that cannot be mentioned.
Yes.
Uh,
Unfortunate circumstances in the
yeah, the Voldemort, the new Voldemort of professional wrestling, joining Chris Benoit is
Yeah.
coronavirus. I really hate myself for that joke. Yeah, this happened. It was spear, 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 power slam, power slam, power slam, power slam, match over with. And Braun Strowman is more powerful than the Fiend by wrestling logic, which means Sami Zayn is more powerful than the Fiend by wrestling logic.
Wrestling logic. A scary thing to use sometimes.
Yeah, it's a never-ending cycle of misery. Anyway, what were your thoughts on this match?
So this is it was interesting watching this and interesting listening to you all talking, because we all knew it was going to be very quick. I think
Mm,
the predictions range from like 12 seconds up to
that
a
was
couple of
me.
minutes, like it was. But you know what? Considering it was a last minute stand in and nobody expected Goldberg Strowman, and everyone was predicting through the match Goldberg's just going to hit him with a spear and then pin him in 12 seconds, or Strowman's immediately going to hit him with the power slam and pin him, and then Goldberg hits the 3 spears, and it was predicted that it was over, and then it wasn't over. Throughout those 2 minutes 40 seconds, it was backwards and forwards, and you didn't exactly know who was going to win, and I like that. It was 2 minutes 40 seconds, but there wasn't a wasted second in there. There was move after move after move. So in terms of the actual match being what it was, I think it's one of Goldberg's better matches in the last couple of years. Take that for what you want. It reminded me of the Goldberg Brock Lesnar match from WrestleMania. It was just they start, there's no stopping for a very short time, and then it's over. Once it's over, though, you've got Strowman as the Universal Champion. Now stand alongside Sami Zayn as a couple of years too late. But
Yeah.
one of my favorite feuds over the last 5-6 years was Strowman Reigns. I thought they had great chemistry, and when they had Strowman at his absolute "I'm not finished with you" angry giant, and Reigns just not giving up and not being scared, I think they were some great matches. So if they go back to doing those over the summer, I'm super happy.
Yeah, yeah, I think you make a valid point. I think Goldberg Lesnar was miles better because it was more violent and more intense. This was just spam finisher move after spam finisher move. And before you say anything, I realized WrestleMania 33 was pretty similar, but there was a more violent intensity to this match. This was like,
Well, you had violent
fine.
intensity, but you had 4 months of build, 4 hours.
Yeah, well, there was no build.
Yeah,
There was no
exactly.
but there was no explanation. Like
Yeah.
that was the one moment where they say, "Look, Roman's life is more important than wrestling." Um, but by the by, that's the thing in itself, and I'm not going to go into it because people have their opinions, and I don't think they're very fair opinions on the matter. But
Well, I think it's obvious they'd only put the title on Goldberg for him to lose it to Reigns. So now that that
mm,
wasn't happening, they need to take the title off Goldberg. They need to
yeah,
give it to somebody, but who do they give
yeah.
it to?
I thought that was pretty obvious. I mean, I'm surprised a lot of people predicted Goldberg. It's like, yeah, but
No.
Goldberg's only contracted to WrestleMania, so
Yeah.
like it's clearly going to be Strowman. Um, yeah, I think Strowman actually interestingly makes a better Universal Champion than Reigns because you then set up 2 or 3 potential main event feuds. You have Baron Corbin, um, who I get is not everyone's cup of tea, but he's a great heel, and I think everyone would love to see Strowman squash him.
Uh-huh.
You have Roman Reigns for the exact reasons you pointed out. Great feud in the summer of 2017. Was it 2017 or 2016? I can't remember. It was 2017. Great feud in the summer of 2017. Flipping ambulances, not giving shits.
Yeah.
Super overdude. Um, should have been Universal Champion 2 years ago. I agree. And then you have the Fiend, and obviously the Wyatt family history there. I think that could actually make for some interesting storylines heading forward
Definitely.
on SmackDown. So you have more. I think you have better main events with Strowman as Universal Champion right now than Roman Reigns, and that's no disrespect to Roman. I like Roman. I think I think he should be Universal Champion a bit before this, if I'm brutally honest. Especially when he was more popular earlier in the year. Um, you know, I think that would have been better if he was Universal Champion earlier. But yeah, I think Strowman's the right winner. This match
Yeah.
itself, half a star. It's not really a match.
Yeah. I mean, probably more like 1 star for me. I did enjoy it for what it was, and until the final bell, 2 minutes 40 seconds of unpredictability.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean, I didn't hate it. I think it was the best use of Goldberg just to get it over and
yeah,
done with.
I think
Um,
if any good is to come out of this awful situation that we're in, is Strowman being Universal Champion, which I prefer to Reigns. totally
Mm.
agree. Like we can get a good summer of stories and matches out of it. I hope he gets a longish, pardon the pun. I hope he gets a long reign, at least 5-6 months. Because what I would hate is, all this to be over and Reigns just come and beat him and go back to what their original storylines obviously were.
Mm.
I think they should take advantage of the fact that a lot of people wanted Strowman to be the Universal Champion for a long time. Maybe a bit late, but let's let him run with it now. Let him see what he can do.
Yeah, I feel like Braun Strowman should be like the new, like, instead of the new Big Show, which I think is how they've been building him, like the new Undertaker, but like American badass version,
Yeah,
because he is a badass. He is a proper, like, fuck off American dude, Uh, he likes his guns and he likes his meat. Like,
I think
make
they
him
need to
just the
switch him
American
heel as quick
badass.
as they can as well. So much better as
Uh,
a heel.
mm,
It's hard to feel, you know,
it
he's
depends. It depends because if it's a fiend, the fiend must be a heel by nature of its character. But there's ways that you can do it where you allow the fiend to be cheered and Strowman to be heel.
yeah,
I think with Roman, you have to make Strowman a face. And I think it has to be a versus face feud because obviously it'll never turn Roman, so there's no point discussing it. And I think with say King Corbin, who's probably the other guy that's in contention,
mhm.
um, Corbin must be heel. So I don't think necessarily. I don't think SmackDown needs another heel at this point. And with coronavirus, and if they can go ahead with tapings, Roman's not going to be there.
I'm pretty sure earlier on this pod you said that Corbin is the closest thing they've got to a main event heel.
Outside of the Fiend.
Right. I don't see the Fiend as a heel. I don't think he has heel / face. I think his character is what his
No, he's
character
a heel.
is.
No, he's a heel. John Cena face. Daniel Bryan was a face. The Miz was a face. Seth Rollins was a face. Finn Balor was a face. Whether you get cheered or not is something completely different.
Hmm.
I think people confuse being cheered and booed with actual character motivation, and the Fiend is pure evil. Um, that's what makes the Fiend a heel. It's not like crowd reaction. Crowd reaction has been irrelevant for years, and what makes people a face or a heel. John Cena was never a heel. He got booed. Roman
So
Reigns was
what would you
never a
have
heel.
said Austin was in 98-99?
I think he was a face because he stood up to the authority of Vince McMahon.
Hmm.
Even though he had badass character traits and dickish character traits, he was ultimately against the machine, and that's what the Attitude Era was partly about, being against the machine of Vince McMahon and the corporation and the Ministry of Darkness. I think that's what that was about, and I'm saying that as objectively as possible. I don't think the Steve Austin character the best character for the record. I think it was actually pretty one-dimensional, but we can go into that in a later podcast.
Yeah, I think we'll go in
Because
very specific. But for the
yeah,
record, I see Bray Wyatt as a heel, but the Fiend as a entity that exists and is what it is. It doesn't have face or heel.
I think it would be interesting to have a face version of the Fiend, and you could do it like one based on vengeance.
One based on vengeance, one based on love. You have two different masks.
Mm,
Possibilities are endless.
oh my god! Now I want to do a deep dive on the Fiend and just that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get on to something more fantastical, which is the main event of Part A of WrestleMania. And you know what? I'm going to count this as a WrestleMania main event. I don't care.
Yes.
The Boneyard match between Undertaker and AJ Styles. Undertaker won this match, literally burying AJ Styles. uh, but who gives a shit? Brian Alvarez gave this a billion stars. I agree. This was amazing. What did you think, Mike?
I think that this is one of those matches that you've got to just totally forget everything that you know and expect from wrestling and just let yourself be enjoyed. This is the
Yeah.
kind of match that you could show a non-fan as just a bit of fun. It's just them taken advantage of the fact that they don't have a live crowd that are getting burned out and watching stuff on a big screen. They had this chance to do something different, and I think the more fantastical things that they'd done in the match, the better it would have been. So I think the teleportation things and the explosions and the hand sticking out at the end. I had said beforehand what I really want is a hand to come out of the ground and grab somebody. So it was as close to that as it can be. I
Yeah,
thought,
I think. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, I thought that the editing and the camera was great. The sound, it was fun. If you watch it as a wrestling match, it's ridiculous, and you know in a fake sport, it's as unrealistic as you can go. But if you just allow yourself to be entertained by it, that's what this purely was. This pure entertainment. We'll probably never see anything like it again. Although I think from now on, every Undertaker match should be shot in exactly the same way. Um, I really, really enjoyed it, and after this pod, I'm going to watch it again. Can't complain at all.
Yeah, I think this is a match I will binge watch till I die. I've so I've never, as a fan, obviously I've seen American Badass and Big Evil Undertaker from just going back and watching old stuff, and um, I love Dead Man Undertaker. Don't get me wrong, but during my entire fandom, when wrestling's actually happening, I've never seen American Badass or Big Evil. So for me, this was like a real treat. I know it's like a different version because Undertaker still has some of that supernatural powers where
Yeah,
he comes out of the grave. But oh my god, what this is just something else, and I mean it in the best possible way. This was the absolute shite that I needed
yes,
to just completely distract me from the world right now. Um, this was just amazing. This surpassed any expectations that I had. And I had low expectations in a good and bad way in the sense that I knew this was going to be corny as hell. But boy, this is corny and I loved it. And it was a masterpiece. I think this, as much as you mock the word sports entertainment, I was sports entertained.
yeah,
Uh, just everything. I loved absolutely everything. I don't care who won, and I don't think AJ Styles or the OC will like weak for it. I think if you're gonna lose to an old man, you're gonna get the rub. You're gonna get it here because you just put on one hell of an entertaining performance. From Undertaker to AJ Styles to Carl Anderson to Luke Gallows, them taking crazy fucking bumps. To the Druids, the guys from NXT that needed a paycheck. Uh, under AJ Styles coming out of the hearse, awesome. Undertaker biking down to Metallica, and the end with salute and the flames and the lasered on Undertaker vigil sigil symbol, whatever. I'm tired. Um oh boy.
yeah.
I
Totally agree. This is what the world needed. This is what
Yeah,
every fan needed. I think this woke everyone up, and
yeah,
I think it's one of those, whether you loved it or whether you hated it, you've got to appreciate what they did. They just they pretty much took the piss out of themselves and said, "We're just going to have some fun in these bad times. We're going to do something that we wouldn't have been able to do at WrestleMania had things been normal." And I think they did it great. I think they probably, I bet they loved making this. I bet the camera writers, the performers, everyone probably just had a good time doing this. You could tell.
yeah. I think this is like, yeah, they fucking this doing this. Like, if they didn't, I'd be surprised.
Yeah,
Because it was just like, they literally just got their own short movie. Uh,
yeah,
this was Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Supernatural meets Sons of Anarchy meets True Detective. It's just wonderful, and I
yep,
think the best part is it was actually surprisingly quite layered for wrestling as well. Um, Shout out to Broken Matt Hardy as well. Like, definitely. that character's influence came
The
in.
worst signs of that, yeah. And you
Yeah,
know what this does? This only makes me look forward to the Funhouse match a lot more.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think the Funhouse match will be. I think that would be absolutely sick. I mean, I had no doubt. I mean, I trust if they give Bray Wyatt and John Cena full creative control, I think they can come up with something that's awesome.
Yeah,
And we forget John Cena's a Hollywood actor these days, so he
yeah,
can. He's actually not too bad in comedic roles. I'm not sure about serious roles, um, but I think he can do cheesy very well. So I trust those two performers to put on something this evening. And if it's half as good as a Boneyard match, I think we'll be in for a treat.
yes,
But I don't think anything will ever top the Boneyard match. I'm going to say this on a limb. This is going to sound utterly ridiculous, but this is probably my favorite WrestleMania main event since Undertaker Shawn Michaels.
mm,
Two, by the way. I like the Daniel Bryan winning the world heavyweight title, but that was too predictable for me. The Seth Rollins cash in was great. It was a very good match. I know you love that match, Mike. I'm not going to say anything bad about it, but it wasn't my favorite match of all time. As much as I enjoyed this match, this is just everything I love about pro wrestling and stupidity. I couldn't have created something better. Like I just every time I think, how would I fantasy book this differently? That's the first thing that goes in my head because I'm like
yeah,
that. I can't for this. I love this so much. I
yeah.
might put this in my
So
rest. I might put this in my wrestling heaven.
yeah, look, I'm agreeing with everything that you say. Um, the only thing is,
Wrestling heaven. It's too late, Mike.
yeah, no, I want to redo that because it was exactly what it needed. But the only thing I can't say it's the best main event because I just feel like it's a standalone. You can't compare it to other things. I feel like that would be saying that. I don't know. Trying to think of a analogy off the top of my head. It's like saying that that match is my favorite ever episode of EastEnders. It's not. It's something different. It's a
It is
different
my favorite
universe.
episode of EastEnders.
Well, it is, yeah. EastEnders would be so much better if they filmed it like that.
And
But
today, the Undertaker is being portrayed by Danny Dyer.
but no, I can actually see them now doing a lot like this in future. They don't always have to be serious and they don't have to have storyline continuity. They've done it before with the old Bray Wyatt matches, and but I think this was done so much better because in the old ones they still tried to keep them to character and tried to have a semblance of reality, whereas this they went with it.
Yeah.
They had a few drinks and said, right, let's have some fun.
Oh, I think they did. I think they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one last note. I would love to know who was responsible for producing this match. Just because I want to give him a shout on Twitter to say thank you. To be honest,
It's
I
it's
reckon it might be Jeremy Borash because he did the deletion stuff on Impact.
I think there's probably
Uh,
quite a few people involved.
I think Krista Joseph's also part of it because he used to be Lucha Underground and he's now a
Yeah.
WWE producer. So it
Is
wouldn't
Bruce
surprise me.
Pritchard around at the minute? 'Cause
Yeah,
I saw his
he'll claim
humor in there.
he'll claim credit for everything. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, we're not gonna have an argument about Bruce Pritchard, right?
No.
But he could have done. Yeah, I would love to know who's responsible because I think, yeah, I just want to say thank you, quite literally,
Definitely.
on Twitter. Just tag him, go, thanks, that was awesome. But yeah, no, fantastic stuff. Star rating, if you will.
Can you give this a star rating?
Yeah, I think you can. I think you're allowed to.
Um.
So it's a match. It says match on it.
Yeah. I'll go. How do you even rate something like this?
You know you want to give it the full 5. Give it the full 5. Come on, join me, Mike. I'm giving it a full 5 right now.
Yeah, I will say that Taker and AJ Styles had a 5-star match. Yeah, 5 stars.
This is the best and worst
And
five-star match in wrestling history.
if it had been in the Tokyo Dome,
Yeah, I actually made that joke on Reddit. I think I was just like, it deserves all the stars -1 because it's in there.
yeah,
It wasn't a Tokyo Dome. But yeah, no, this was thoroughly entertaining. So overall thoughts on day one of WrestleMania 36, Mike?
Well, like I said, I would say what my thoughts coming out compared to my thoughts going in were the first half pretty much lived up to exactly what I expected, and I was slightly disappointed with the way they were ending matches. Um, I think they then went on to make me feel like I was watching something a bit special. I think the ladder match was amazing, especially given the setting. I liked the fact that they changed the Universal title, and then the Boneyard match has just made this a WrestleMania I won't forget.
Yeah, yeah, I fully agree. I think I think up until the ladder match, it was lacking. I think the ladder match is pretty good. I think Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins was good. I did think the women's tag team title match was also good, but there was a huge gap where it's like, oh, okay. Really didn't like
Yeah,
that. And then Braun Strowman winning the Universal title, huge plus. The match itself wasn't, but I'm so pleased with Strowman. And yeah, the Boneyard match really elevated this half of the show. So
yeah.
I'm going to give it a grade of just because of the Boneyard match, and this is going to be generous. I'm going to give this a B grade.
Um, yeah, a very split show. You've got something fantastic and something awful, and everything in between. Um, yeah, I'll go with B.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it happened.
So, Mike and I will return tomorrow to discuss our thoughts of day two of WrestleMania 36, featuring Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre, the Firefly Funhouse match between Bray Wyatt and John Cena, and the NXT Women's Championship match between Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. Thank you, Mike, for joining me today, and thank you, listener, for listening. Feel free to follow us on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter at Holy Shoot Pod. You can, if you enjoyed this pod, then please do subscribe to us. Drop us a 5-star review where possible, or thumbs up, or whatever your platform has to rate things. And that's the bottom line, because this pod said so.
Enjoy Mania.